And welcome back to Who Would Win. I'm a little late in the day for Who Would Win, but I had to take care of something when I got out of work. Either way, we're here. This one comes to us from Ben Oy Anwar, who asked the question, who would win in a fight, the Fantastic Four or the Ginyu Force? Now, with the Ginyu Force, it's actually pretty easy to just go over their run of abilities. With the Fantastic Four, because of the extensive history of the comics and the characters, it does get a bit more expansive. So let's just go over the Ginyus real quick. The Ginyus are comprised of, and as far as we know, there have been multiple interpretations of the Ginyu Force over the years. They can accept new members, but the members that the team we were introduced to as kids, come on, Tota Senkai, we are the Ginyu Force! Come on, who doesn't love the Ginyu Force? Is led by Captain Ginyu, named after him himself, the purple man in the front here. Guldo, the man in green with the two eyes on the side of his head, two extra eyes on the side of his head. Jason Birder, who are basically a tag team duo. And Raccoon, because it rhymes with Doom, and you're gonna be hurting, brother. Who is kind of just like the big brute muscle of the Force. Now, we do have power levels, I believe at least 3 of them. Guldo, Captain Ginyu, and Raccoon. Okay, I like taking it back. I'm pretty sure we have power levels on at least Guldo and Ginyu. I don't know if we have it on Raccoon. I think we do. I think Raccoon's somewhere in like the 40,000 range. We know Ginyu's is 120,000. And if I'm not mistaken, Guldo comes in, he's very much the weakest member of the Ginyu Force, power level wise. I think like 3,000-ish. But again, power levels are bullshit. It just kind of is able to measure their energy output in terms of their aura and ki. Jason Birder are said to be basically the same power, but I believe Birder's the faster one, and Jace, the man in red here. Birder's the blue snake-looking guy, and Jace is the red guy with the white hair and the red skin. Jace is said to be, I think, I'll have a little bit more extra power. So either they're exact same, or Jace actually has a bit higher of a power level. I think he's like second only to Ginyu. And even then, it's a big gap. But all the Ginyus have the standard Dragon Ball, ability list. They can fire Ki Blast. They are super fast. They all have the kind of move fast enough to kind of disappear in the blink of an eye. Birder is said to allegedly be the fastest individual in the universe. We know that was a load of crap. At least at the time. Except for Frieza and, Frieza, and then eventually Ginyu. Ginyu technically should have been faster, but whatever. He allegedly could, move that fast. But they all have Ki Blasts. Jace and Birder are good at working tag team and tandem. Raccoon is a very much brute force fighter. Ginyu is the strongest, and they're all skilled fighters in their own right. The only two who really have a special ability here are Ginyu and Guldo. Ginyu has the body swap technique where, in the worst case scenario, or if he finds a body even stronger than his current, he can actually take possession of that person's body by firing basically his soul out of his mouth and swapping bodies with said individual. And Guldo can actually freeze time by holding his breath. Time is frozen for as long as Guldo's breath is held. Now, that being said, this can be both a blessing in the fight and a hindrance because, he's not very strong martial arts wise. So if he's running out of breath, if he can't catch his breath, using that ability is very taxing. However, he also has very powerful psychic abilities as well. I'd say it's arguably probably stronger than Chaozu's are, which are also notably pretty strong. This allows him to freeze people in place for a certain while. He even was able to turn a tree's trunk into a spear, and he's basically going to skewer Krillin with it. Power-wise, all the Ginyus have the power, at least in terms of power level-wise, that we know of, to pretty much blow up a planet. At least the top 4 members do. Raccoon, Jace, Birder, and Ginyu definitely have the power to destroy a planet, no doubt. Guldo's actually kind of debatable. I mean, we know Roshi could do it in Dragon Ball, but that's, I guess, then begging the question, was Roshi stronger than Guldo in his full power state, in the giant buff form? Most likely not. So I guess in theory, if Guldo really wanted to, he could blow up a planet. But that's where the whole power scaling thing comes in. It's what one character should do, another character should be able to do if they are stronger power level wise. In theory. Goten and Trunks and Super Saiyan, in theory, should be able to destroy a planet given their power levels. But we never see them do that, and they never really demonstrated a technique strong enough to do that. But in theory, they should be able to. We know for certain that someone like Raccoon, Jace, or Birder, or Ginyu, though, should be able to. So you get to the Fantastic Four, who have been around since, I believe, the 60s? How long have they been? Is it the 60s or the 50s? That's a good question. They've been around a long time. The Fantastic Four. The Fantastic Four. Not the film. Again, the Fantastic Four character 4. Alright, so the Fantastic Four have been around since the 1960s, 61. And they are composed, obviously, of Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm, and Ben Grimm. Now, together, they are a very formidable team. Reed Richards is oftentimes cited as the smartest individual in Marvel Comics, or at least among, like, the top 3. There's the Council of Reeds who each wield an Infinity Gauntlet from their own timelines. They don't work, obviously, in their neutral ground, but in their own universes. But within their respective universes, they have, Infinity Gauntlets. Obviously, their own individual abilities are as such. Mr. Fantastic, besides being a genius, is elastic. He can extend, stretch his body to great lengths. His body's pretty much his rubber, so he can take a lot of blunt force trauma and just, shake it off, no problem. He can tie people up with his own body. He can smother individuals. He can float on air. The problem is, though, is that his body has limitations strength-wise. The more he stretches himself out, the more strength he's losing overall. Like, his ability to, lift things, is hindered to some degree by that. Furthermore, he's not immune to stabbing weapons because, while rubber-like physique is, great at concussive blast, sharp blades and cutting is not so much great for for someone made of rubber. Furthermore, like fire, he's not immune to energy attacks. And even if he is somewhat immune to blunt force trauma, he can only take so much of that. Like if he were to be stomped down by Galactus, which possibly has happened, he survived, but it's still painful. He still feels pain. So it just depends on what is done to Reed. Again, though, he makes up for that by being one of the smartest guys in the Marvel Universe, so he makes up for that with strategy. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, is the brother of Sue Storm. Obviously, his trademark is being able to, flame on, turns in the Human Torch. He's a man made of fire, basically. Whether he's made of fire or not is kind of... He's not truly made of fire. Okay, Johnny Storm gains a number of super mechanics. His primary ability is to envelop his body in fiery plasma without harm to himself. That's the thing. His body doesn't turn to plasma. He's just wrapped in it. He can basically use this to fly during powerful fire streams and balls of flames. He can manipulate flames in such a way to shape into rings and other forms. Even when not engulfed in flames, Johnny has the ability to control fire within his immediate vision, causing it to increase or decrease in intensity or move in powers directed by its thoughts. The plasma field immediately surrounding his body is hot enough to vaporize projectiles approaching him, including bolts. It does not generally extend to the flame aura beyond a few inches from his skin, so as to not ignite nearby objects. Storm refers to his maximum flame output as Nova Flame, which he can release omnidirectional flame as any temperature is lower than this cannot burn or harm the Human Torch. This Nova effect can occur spontaneously when he absorbs an excessive amount of heat, although he can momentarily suppress it. He has demonstrated enough control of his fire to basically shave another's hair, or hold a person while his flame form without they basically be hurting the other person. Storm's ability to ignite himself is limited by the quantity of oxygen in his environment. His personal flame can be extinguished by submission of qualities of water, flame retardant, foam, or vacuum environments, meaning he cannot go into space. He can reignite his flame instantly once the oxygen is returned with no ill effects. In early stories, he can only remain a flame for up to 5 minutes at a time, after which he needed 5 minutes to recharge before igniting himself again. Storm is depicted as transmuting his body itself into living flame in the first 2 issues. In all subsequent appearances, the power consists in the generation of a flame aura. So yes, it does seem like in the first 2 issues he could turn into plasma, but that no longer seems to be the case. Johnny is he's the long range fighter, and he's the firepower, if you will, of the team. Sue Storm, the wife of Reed Richards, is basically the Invisible Woman. She can bend light, create hard light constructs, but they're basically invisible. And they are very strong. She can actually create them inside someone, basically blowing them up if she needs to. Or she can turn herself invisible, as she stated. She can fly on them. She can bind someone in constructs or fire constructs at someone. These constructs, their strength is basically all predetermined by Sue's will. That's the thing. They are as strong as Sue is mentally. If her will power suffers, it is Dr. Doom actually says that she is the single most powerful member of the quartet. She's one of the few beings to be able to rupture the shell of a celestial, which is no small feat. Her invisibility can render herself whole or partially invisible. Her force field projections can allow her to mentally generate molecular fields of invisible force, apparently drawn from hyperspace. This allows her to manipulate from all varieties of effects. For example, she can shape fields into simple invisible constructs, barriers, clamps, columns, cones, cylinders, darts, discs, domes, platforms, ramps, slides, spheres, etc. Or generate a near invisible, indestructible force field around herself or near indestructible. She can vary the texture and tensile strength of the field to some extent, rendering it rigid or soft as steel or soft as foam rubber. By generating additional force beyond her psionic construct, she can turn them into offensive weapons. Sue's molecular force fields can also counteract or interact with other forms of psychic energy. For instance, when battling Psylord, an adult version of her own son, or force field shields her from telepathic abilities. She's an excellent swimmer and capable on unarmed combat, having been trained by by Mr. Fantastic and received additional coaching from Iron Fist, Thing, and She-Hulk. So there you go. But yeah, they are derivative of her will and her physical condition. It's kind of actually like Magneto, surprisingly, that if she is injured, this does affect her constructs. Like, she can't use them to her full extent. And then obviously there's Ben Grimm, who is, the Thing. And he is, he's the muscle of the group. He is extremely powerful, like physically. He's able to go toe to toe with a a base form Hulk over the years. He can withstand gunfire, high caliber weapon, piercing armor rounds. It's possible to breach your arm, explosives. It's possible, however, to breach his Hexera. However, he does. And he does bleed as a result. One instance, Wolverine's adamantium claws scarred his face, and yeah, he's not indestructible. He's just highly durable. And his physical strength, as we said, has gone up and down, but he was capable of going toe to toe with base form Hulk for a while. But aside from his physical attributes, Thing's senses can withstand higher levels of sensory stimulation than an ordinary human, with the exception of his sense of touch. His lungs can possess a greater efficiency than volumes of normal humans. As a result, he's capable of holding his breath for much longer periods of time. He's a skilled pilot. He's also very skilled in actually boxing, wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu, street fighting, as well as hand-to-hand combat training with the military. On occasions, he's regained his human form and lost his Thing powers. He used a suit of powered battle armor designed by Richards to simulate his strength and durability prior to that. Ben is almost immortal when in his Thing form, as he only ages when he's human. After Franklin and Valeria created a formula that allowed Ben to become human for 1 week each year, Reed and Nathaniel traveled for over 3,000 years into the future to see Ben still alive after all this time. So, yeah. So these groups meet, who wins? Well, obviously the Ginyu Force would probably be on Earth. Frieza, assuming Frieza exists in the Dragon Ball universe, the Ginyus go to, we're on the Ginyu Force, and we are here to take over Earth. Now, the Fantastic Four faced grand scale threats. They have, they fought Galactus multiple times. Granted, none of their single abilities or even their collective group abilities were enough to defeat Galactus. They have to either outsmart him or use a piece of tech to beat him. But they take on Dr. Doom regularly. They've been part of fighting Thanos, if I'm not mistaken. During, I think, the Infinity Gauntlet saga, they are one of the most predominant, superhero groups there is. They come to Earth, and the Ginyus are laughing at these guys. It's like, oh, please, go away. Your power levels are pitiful. Oh, yours isn't that bad. Well, I'm kind of going with um, the abridged version of Ginyu's voice. It's like, if I do this, Captain Ginyu's voice is a bit more. This is a bit more closer to the dub from the original version. Your power levels are pitiful. Oh, except for the scrawny little blonde there. Oh, right, flame on! His power level, his power level just skyrocket. Jace, Burner, would you be so kind as to handle our little fiery friend here? Absolutely, of course. Right. And so there, they immediately go after of Johnny. Sue's guys back there. I got you, Johnny. They're blasting energy blasts. They go flying right into one of Sue's barriers. What is this? This is some sort of invisible barrier. As they blast it, and immediately they kind of just blast right through it. Because again, all the top, basically the 4 higher Ginyus, the 4 other Ginyus besides Goldo, all have the ability to bust a planet when they really want, if they really want to. Goldo's the only one who you could argue probably doesn't, but Goldo makes up for that with other things. It's like, so you must be the big man. They call me the Thing. Oh, really? Well, let's see you drop your thing, and Grim just boom decks Raccoon. For all their strength, for all their power, the Ginyus do lack raw physical strength. That's where a lot of the Marvel and DC characters do tend to beat the Dragon Ball characters, is just natural raw strength. Now, this is made up for by augmenting their abilities with ki and things along those lines. But in terms of their true natural strength, oh no, Grim just boom decks. Okay, I could do either the approach. Okay, you want to deal with Raccoon? Let's go, buddy. Racer gun, and blasts Grim, who's just okay. I gotta give you credit. I kind of felt that. And they kind of clash. Or I could go with, well, guys, this big purple turd guy's over here, huh? I can do that Raccoon voice. Gulda, would you be so kind as to deal with our fine chap over here? I was like, oh, right. And so I will not let you go. And he just kind of expands, oh, quite impressive. Gulda, would you be so kind? Of course. And time just stops, and he just kind of fires some energy, because Goldo can still fire Ki Blast. Just kind of pot shots and Ki Blast at him, pot shots and Ki Blast at Grim, pot shots and Ki Blast at Sue and Johnny, and then, it's energy, and Mr. Fantastic it doesn't have any special immunity to an attack like that, so he immediately just kind of gets seriously hurt, but he's not down because his body can absorb some of it. It's kind of more like a heated concussive blast, kind of like Cyclops a little bit. But it's just because Goldo's power level is so low. And it's oh, my, that's quite the body you have there. Unfortunately, it's not a body I really have any interest in. So he just hits Mr. Fantastic, which you realize oh, I see how it is. You've got some sort of rubber body. He just wraps around. He's it's that's right, and you're not going anywhere. Ben, serve him up. And, him and Raccoon have been clashing for a bit. And Raccoon's faster than Grim. But they've kind of in one of those Dragon Ball Z Deadlocks. Just, it's right, serving him up. And Raccoon just, so, and then just tries to hit, land right in front of Ginyu. But Raccoon's just whew. Sorry, boss. Do you need help with this? No, I got it. But thank you for your concern, Raccoon. Goldo, actually, give Raccoon a hand with the big guy there. He seems to be the strongest of them. And right. And just kind of freezes Grim's what the hell are you doing? You don't seem to understand there, buddy. I've been see, Raccoon likes to take it easy on us, supposed to gauge how worthy they are of his greatness. You, however, have been chosen to see the true might of Raccoon. And it rhymes with doom. And guess what? And he just starts charging up a blast. Grim's you're gonna be hurting. But he just grabs Grim by the face. But he just boom, blows Grim's head off. Just boom. Thanks for the assist, Goldo. You got it. Grim, the Ben's he just starts to constrict Gideon's I've actually been needing to get some sort of massage, and I gotta admit, it's not the quality I'm used to, but for what it is, it's not bad. And he just powers up his energy, blasts Mr. Fantastic off. Meanwhile, Jason Birder are now just kind of blitzing around. It's like, oh, you know, girlie, it'd be shame though how does such a beautiful Sheila go to waste. Come on, girlie, why don't you join up with us? We have some good times. You and she just kind of, and she just immediately looks at him, just it's like, you shut up, as Birder just boom smacks right into Johnny, and it's like, oh, what are you doing? And it's like, saying goodbye, saying good day, mate, and just and Jay's actually just blows up because she basically created a force field. And I was like, Goldo was like, on it, and he just kind of rushes to it. Like, no, you don't. And she just summons the force field, but he's like, boom, holds his breath and just gets around it eventually. His breath's running out, just and just hits her right as his, and she's she basically gets hit. It's like, so, Johnny just basically comes in, just incinerates Golden's like, supernova, and just, or Nova Flame, and then just basically omnidirectional tries to incinerate them. Birder gets out of the way because he's fast enough. Ginyu and Raccoon are kind of out of distance, but Golden's like, yeah! Just before he can hold his breath again, because he tries to hold his breath, but the heat collapses his lungs, so he's like, he just, he just gets incinerated, and he's just huffing. He's like, "Sue, are you all right?" It's like, "I'm okay." And it's like, "Not for long, you're not." And he just, Johnny, and he just sees, Johnny's got a whole arm through his. He's like, it's like, that's your pretty hot stuff, but you can only handle it for so long, kid. And trust me. And then he just sucks in his hand, and a blast of energy comes. Like, trust me, I'll show you let me show you what real heat's like. This is for Jace. And just, oh wait, that's right, you're the one who killed him. Sorry. And she just tries to do the same, but she's now injured, so her abilities aren't quite as effective. So it's like, crap, she's doing it again. You, like, Sue, I got you. And then Ginyu just shows up and just like, yeah, that's enough of that. And it grabs them both by the head and just crushes their skull. Just, she goes limp. It's like, no, Sue, you bastard. I'll make it like, straight punches and normal physical attacks aren't going to work on you. We're going to have to basically incinerate you. We're just going to have to blow you up, do it the old-fashioned way. Raccoon, would you do the honors? No, come on, let me do it. I didn't get a chance to revenge Jace. All right, you guys, you can do this. And he just started rapping Mr. Fantastic around. It's like, Mr. Fantastic's trying to get out of the ball. And he's kind of doing it, but it's like, but Ginyu's just like, all right, batter up, boys, and then just throws him in the air. It's like, and they just, blast. And it's like, no. And so Ginyu and Mr. Fantastic is killed. So my money goes to the Ginyu Force. Now, why is this? Well, they already have a great field area of effect advantage. All of them fly. All of them have Ki Blast abilities. Two of them have, and Goldo's Time Freeze is going to be actually very useful in stalling Fantastic Four and causing injuries to them as it is. Not to mention that except for Grim and Johnny, all of them have abilities to some degree that can be problematic for the Ginyus. But the problem is, except for Sue, and to some degree, Johnny, none of them really have abilities that could really take down, kill the Ginyus. Now, before you ask, well, what about the Annihilator, or Ultimate Annihilator, or Nullifier, Ultimate Nullifier, or one of Reed's inventions? Well, Reed doesn't always carry those into battle. In fact, those are last-ditch effort, last resort things. We have to look at the team as they are individually as a group. That made any sense. You know what I mean? Bare bones without any extra tech to it. And really, Grim has a strong durability and could withstand a lot of the damage for a while. But once they got serious and started to throw the real stuff out, or real power at them, then you're dealing with individuals who Grim can't deal anything against. And even though he's naturally stronger than these guys, they have better speed and just better fight. More training in terms of fighting overall, despite the extensive fighting that Grim actually has. The fact is, their speed is a giant hindrance to Grim. Johnny is able to fly, and his plasma barrier would give him some protection for a while, but after a while, they would just say, just blitz him with either speed, strength, power, Ki, or all of the above. Ki technically is plasma, so it would provide Johnny with some power that he could absorb, but after a while, he would just have to release it. So, Reed doesn't have any offensive capabilities that could really do anything against them. He could try to suffocate them. But the fact of the matter is they all have aura that they can basically... We've seen that multiple times in Dragon Ball where someone gets attacked or wrapped up by something and they basically just power up and blow the attack off. Or like just fire it, just jettison it off their bodies. So that wouldn't work for like suffocation or strangulation. He doesn't have the strength to do that. He has the durability to withstand some of their attacks, but not like the high, ki energy or anything like that. The big wild card here is Sue. Sue has the ability to, crack celestial armor. She can, like I said, create barriers barriers inside individuals and basically cause them to explode. Invisible barriers, near indestructible barriers. She's the big wild card here. But the problem is that where the other three actually have physical augmentation to them, Sue doesn't. And with Goldo's time freeze ability, and her abilities, if I do remember correctly, I said earlier, and I'm pretty sure it's still correct, her abilities are tailored to her physical well-being. If she is in a bad physical state, it's going to be reflected in her abilities. So, Goldo is going to be I do imagine that any one of them with enough power could get through her barrier, sure. And honestly, just straight outright blitz her if they really wanted to. But they would like to toy with their opponents too. But Goldo's going to be the real problem for her because none of them have an ability to move through stop time on their own. So Goldo freezing time and just getting around there and start, wailing on, hurting individuals like ki blasters, psychic attacks, freezing individuals. That's going to be a serious problem for Sue. And ultimately, I think it will lead to her down. She will not last. As a group, the Fantastic Four are very powerful. And you might be arguing, again, they defeated Galactus. They're taking on Nihilus. They're taking on Dr. Doom. How would they lose to these guys? Well, they've all done that. They've done that not through their straight abilities, but through, prudent planning, tech, things they've had on call. Because let's be clear, even with all their abilities, there's no way naturally they could beat Galactus or Nihilus. It's had to be through inventions, planning, things along those lines. We're talking about a straight first meeting confrontation between these two teams. And for my money, though I love the Fantastic Four, I'm one of the few people who gets a decent kick out of the first Fantastic movie by Tim Story. Rise of Silver Surfer is kind of crap, and that newest one was kind of crap. Hopefully, MCU can get it right. But for my money, I go the Ginyus. And that's not for like nostalgia or anything like that, because I do love the Fantastic Four. I just think the Ginyus bring, more to the table in terms of raw power, actual abilities on the field in combat. And more, while their amount of sheer abilities are limited, like the time freeze alone is more than anything they can deal with. For instance, if they were taking on Hit would annihilate the Fantastic Four. Pure annihilate. Not only is he on the level of power of someone similar to like a Super Saiyan God, but he can literally freeze time and move within freeze time, and he's an assassin. Unlike Goldo, whose power is so weak that it's not like he can do a lot of damage to begin with. Hit is an assassin, can attack with invisible energy, and can freeze time for more than a second. And then store that frozen time. Like, if this were Hit versus the Fantastic Four, which I'm sure someone will not give me a who would win for that, Hit would annihilate the Fantastic Four. This would actually be at least a semi-even fight for a while, because the Ginyus would be toying with them for a little bit. But once the Ginyus just decide to call it quits and have lost a member or two, not call it quits, but stop screwing around and then lost a member or two, that's when the actual, that's when it's like, all right, no more fucking around. Let's get this over with kind of thing happens. So, yeah, the Ginyus take it for the win, in my opinion. But that is just my opinion. Let me know in the comments below if you would disagree. And if you do, that's cool. We can have a fun chat about it. But like, comment, share, subscribe. I hope you enjoyed. Hit that bell if you want to be notified. I got the What If tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you what the What If is, but it's the new What If. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I'll see you folks later.